Welcome back. Today's FAMS Flow Yoga will focus on strength. And we're going to do some fun poses both seated and standing. So make sure that you have a chair or a surface that is firm and comfortable that will allow for free range of movement. It can certainly have an armrest as needed, and your yoga mat, or making sure that you don't have any tripping hazards if you prefer to practice with shoes on your floor. So let's get started. We're going to begin seated, kind of midway into your chair, making sure that your weight is evenly distributed. If you move from side to side and forward and back, and we're going to start to engage the core, placing the hands on the thighs, palms down, and then just invite the eyes to close as we settle into this position in space. Preparing to do our body scan, so starting with the face, go ahead and relax the areas surrounding the eyes and the brow, making sure there's no furrowing or frowning. And then start to relax the jaw and the cheeks, ensuring that there's no clenching or grinding, even leaving a little cushion of space between the back teeth. Now from here, let's start to lengthen the neck as you lower the chin gently toward the chest. No forcing, just allowing gravity to tug at the forehead, but also taking note of what you feel from the base of the skull all the way out to the distal edges of the shoulders. And keeping the chin tucked in, begin to slowly rotate the head. Just sweeping the chin from shoulder to shoulder. Good. And head back to neutral, leveling the chin parallel to the floor. And from here, we're going to release the right ear toward the right shoulder. Again, nice and easy. Opening up those muscles laterally on the opposite side. Head back to center and let's switch. Taking your time, easing into it. And maybe noticing what you feel. If there's any differences here compared to the first. And head back to neutral. Now, let's start to correct the posture. Just sitting tall and flatten the shoulder blades completely behind you, creating that scapular retraction, much like you're attempting to squeeze a magic marker between them, and noticing the chest opening and lifting, ready to receive that deeper breath. And once again, engaging the core muscles from front to back, so feeling the abs and the back working in synergy to create that sandwich effect, helping to keep the spine upright. Now let's release the hands as you rotate your wrists, wiggle the fingers, maybe give your hands a good squeeze, and flex and extend the wrists. Good. And then gently allow the hands to come to rest. And now let's start to awaken the feet. Maybe give the toes a little wiggle or a tap. And then rotate the ankles. Making sure to switch the direction. Good, and gently allow the feet to come to rest, ensuring that the ankles are underneath the knees, so you have some good alignment there along the shins. So now we're going to settle in, quieting the mind as we start to awaken the breath. So when you're ready, with the mouth closed, drawing the air only in and out through the nose, let's begin to make that transition. So on the inhales, feel that breath beginning in the base of your abdomen, and let it rise all the way to the collarbones, only to release it in reverse. And just taking your time, creating this nice, slow, rhythmic wave-like action. Allowing one breath to move seamlessly into the next and back again. But most importantly, embracing the calmness that comes with this deep breath, because that's the foundation of your practice. And let's set our intention on allowing that feeling to carry us from start to finish. So inviting the eyes to close, and let's focus on the next 5 breaths as we prepare to begin. Good. Now, we're going to start to build on the skills that you've learned in previous weeks. So placing your hands on the front edges of the knees, on an inhale, we're just going to slowly unroll. Drop those shoulders down and back, maybe even lift the chin, exposing the throat, sending the sternum slightly forward. So you're creating a little hollow in the lower back. And noticing what you feel on both sides of the spine. And now on an exhale, slowly begin to round the back, curling in, closing that angle, but noticing what you feel across the upper back, from the shoulder blades down to the waist. So we're essentially setting good posture aside just for a moment. Now, one breath, one movement. Start to inhale, slowly unroll, rising up, maybe even lifting the chin slightly. And then exhale, slowly curling in. Taking your time as we use this modified cat and cow to help loosen up the muscles that line the spine, stimulating blood flow to the muscles as well, preparing the body at a lower intensity for some moderate intensity strengthening moves. So give me 2 more. And as you make your way to that final round, let's go ahead and slowly rise right back up again to a nice tall neutral spine. And we're going to release the arms now on either side of the thighs or the hips as we prepare to lengthen the muscles laterally. So if you'd like, if you're holding on to an armrest, you can use that for support, or even gently holding on underneath your seat. But on an inhale, we're going to send that left arm up and slightly over. But always take a moment to assess the even pressure in both sit bones. We don't want to lift on that side. I want you to stay anchored so that you're building the strength in your core, creating a nice stable foundation. But we want to make sure we're not collapsing into that side. So I want you to lengthen as you reach laterally. And if you're taking care of the shoulder, you can always adjust that range of motion wherever is comfortable for you. Now we'll exhale, slowly release. Inhale up and over opposite side. And again, take your time, easing into it. Maybe noticing anything different on this side, whether it's the stretch laterally or even in the shoulder girdle. You can even adjust the head position, maybe looking to the inside of the elbow or down to the floor. Exhale, slowly release. Now one breath, one movement. Let's inhale, lift and reach. Exhale. Slowly lower, and just taking your time, also recognizing the role that your feet are playing in this range of motion, even noticing as you reach how that energy is rooted in through the soles of your feet and the sit bones. Let's do 2 more on each side. Moving no faster than the rhythm of your breath. And as you make your way through this final lift, on that last side, we're just going to allow that hand to come to rest. Good. Now let's place the hands back on the thighs, and we're going to relax the shoulders. So start to roll the shoulders toward the back. Lower the chin toward the chest and just roll the shoulders forward. Setting the shoulders down and back. And now we're going to do one more warm-up in the seated position, and it's our sunflowers. So remembering the hip hinge, we want to keep the spine nice and tall, arms down to your sides, and on an inhale, we're going to lift both arms up. And then on an exhale, hinge from the hips, keeping the spine lengthened as you release the hands. And you choose the depth that's comfortable for you. So tapping anywhere along the shin, just make sure that as you lean forward, it's not tipping your chair. Nice. Now one breath, one movement. Inhale, slowly rise, and exhale, fold. Good. Again, inhale to rise, exhale, fold. Let's do 4 more. Helping to stimulate blood flow into the shoulder girdle, the lower lumbar region. And as we make our way through this final round, no rush, no hurry, but we're going to slowly rise up and place the hands on the thighs. Nice. Let's roll the shoulders toward the back once again. Lower the chin toward the chest and roll the shoulders forward. And we're going to set the shoulders down and back. Now, I'm going to introduce you to several warrior poses. We're going to perform them seated first, and we will do one side at a time, but then we're going to transition and do the same poses standing. So just note that the seated versions are the lower expression, and if you choose, you can always continue to stay seated even when we make that transition to standing. So we're going to start on the left side. So go ahead and just step your left foot out slightly to the side, because we're going to twist the body toward the left so that you're kind of squared off over that thigh. And from here, with the arms on either side of the thigh, we're going to inhale, send them straight up. Now, if you're taking care of the shoulder, you can always adjust the arm position either with bent elbows or maybe out into a V. But this is a nice strong position. So keeping with our theme today, so I want you to feel the core muscles engaged. You're rising away from the waist, almost as if you had a silken thread at the top of the head guiding you up toward the sky. Good. So just by holding this pose, you should notice the strength and heat building in the core, but also in your shoulders. So from here, on an exhale, we're just going to open the arms out into a T. Nice extended reach. Taking note of how the lower back feels, you can certainly adjust the range of motion or the twist depending on how those muscles feel. Excellent. Now, on an inhale, we're going to rotate that left palm so it's facing up toward the ceiling, and we're going to release the right hand and then start to reach the left hand up. This is called reverse warrior. Now, it's a gentle arch in the back, but if it's not comfortable, you can place that right hand on the thigh to help guide you up into this lengthened arch. Maybe even look up toward the heel of the hand or the elbow, depending on what's comfortable for your neck and shoulders. Good. Slowly release We're going to step that foot back into place and do the same thing on the opposite side. So when you're ready, step the right foot out and give me a quarter turn, just so that you're squared off over the thigh. And again, arms on either side of the leg, because on an inhale, we're going to send them straight up. Nice energetic reach. Rising away from the waist, navel is drawn in toward the spine, so we're creating again that sandwich effect. And feet are flat, nice even weight distribution. And of course, breathing deeply. Good. On an exhale, let's open out into a T for your warrior two. Nice energetic reach. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. And certainly, if your arms start to fatigue, you can release them back to your lap. And really taking advantage of this wide open space across the chest to breathe unobstructed. Let's inhale. Send now that right hand up. And you can place the left hand on the left thigh if you'd like. Little delicate arch in the back, and choose where you'd like to direct your eyes, either to the inside of the elbow or up toward the heel of the hand. Navel still drawn in and sit bones firmly rooted. Good. And let's slowly return back to center, stepping the foot in. Let's begin to roll the shoulders once again toward the back. Lower the chin toward the chest and roll the shoulders forward. And we're going to set the shoulders down and back, and now we're going to do the same poses but in a standing position. But if that's not comfortable for you today, you can always remain seated and just repeat what we just finished. So take your time as you rise up, and we're going to take a wider stance. So roughly 2.5 to 3 feet, and we're going to revisit those sunflowers. So nice soft knees here, and again we want to maintain that hip hinge. So when you're ready, let's inhale, send the arms up. And on an exhale, swan dive, forward fold, and just scoop the hands toward the floor like you're picking up a pile of leaves or flowers, and then toss them overhead. Good. Exhale. Hinge from the hips, bending the knees, and then push your feet into the floor to use the glutes and the hamstrings. Again, exhale, fold and scoop. Inhale, rise. Let's do 3 more. And as you make your way through this final round, we're going to keep the legs straight on the inhale and just exhale, release the arms down to your sides. Nice. Roll the shoulders toward the back. Lower the chin toward the chest as you roll the shoulders forward. Good. We're going to set the shoulders down and back. Now we're going to prepare for those warriors. So we want enough distance between both feet. Again, if it's not comfortable, you choose a stance that's appropriate for you. You could even bring an extra chair and hold on to the seat back for a little stability, or place yourself next to a wall. But we're going to start by pivoting that left foot toward this new front edge of the mat, and let the right foot pivot as well. So we're going to square the chest and hips in that direction. Now, being very mindful of your knees, because we're going to bend the knee coming into a lunge. And I want you to be very mindful of the placement of your toes. You should still be able to see your toes beyond the knee joint. If you're feeling comfortable and maybe your stance is a little too short, you can always wiggle the foot forward or step it forward, so that gives you a little bit more depth as you build strength in those thigh muscles. But we want 50-50 pressure in both feet, rising away from the waist. And now we add the arms. So nice extension. And remember, you can adjust the arm position or release the arms altogether, especially if they're fatigued. But let's take a moment and pause, breathing deeply, pressing through the outer edge of that rear foot, nice 45-degree angle on that right foot, and noticing where you feel strengthening and maybe even lengthening here. Good. Now, keeping your feet glued to the mat, we're just going to open the heart and the hips, coming into our warrior two position. So settling in, chest is open here, nice extended reach through the fingertips, and energy straight down through the feet. So still nice 45-degree angle on the rear foot, and forward leg toes are pointing in that forward direction. Give me 2 more deep breaths. Good. Now on an inhale, we're going to send that left hand up, right hand to the right thigh, rising away from the waist as we come into our reverse warrior. Another modification, you can even cross that arm behind the back as a reminder to lift through the sternum. And remember, you can look toward the elbow or the heel of the hand, but standing, if you feel like your balance might be a little off today, no worries. You can even look down, which actually helps to improve your balance. Good. Let's inhale. Slowly return back to that warrior two position, regaining the balance. And we're going to place the hands to the hips and just start to straighten that knee so that you can pivot back to center. Take a moment and just let the back round slightly, softening the knees so we can decompress the spine. Good. And slowly rise up, and we're just going to switch directions. So start to pivot now. That right foot toward this short end of the mat and allow that left foot to pivot 45 degrees so that you can square the chest and hips. And when you're ready, start to explore your lunge. Again, giving a peek to make sure the toes are within view, and then just correct the posture so that the torso is perpendicular to the floor. And now we can inhale, add the arms, sending them up or out. But 50-50 pressure in both feet, rising away from the waist. And don't forget to smile. That does help. And noticing that heat building. Don't be afraid of that sensation unless, of course, you've gotten to your limit. And that is something that you can gauge with each pose, maybe even rating your exertion on a scale of 1 to 10. Comfort zone is usually between a 6 and an 8. Anything over that, you may want to modify or take a break. Let's exhale. Open out into your warrior two. Nice extended reach, still maintaining that lunge, which is again going to fatigue the legs, but that's how we build strength. Relaxing through the shoulders, reaching through the fingertips, and even wiggle the toes just to make sure they're not digging in. Connecting with the breath. And if you're comfortable, maybe try it with the eyes closed. Good. Inhale, let's send that right hand up toward the ceiling, left hand to the left thigh, or you can cross that arm behind the back. Just make sure you're rising away from the waist. 50-50 pressure in both feet. And choosing where you'd like to direct your gaze, either to the inside of the elbow or up toward the heel of the hand. But again, if that makes you feel a little unsteady, you can look down. Inhale, return back to that warrior two position, regaining the balance. Now we can give the legs a break. So hands to the hips, let's straighten that right knee. We're going to come back to center. Beautiful. Slide the hands to the thighs and just give me a nice rounded back here. Kind of sending the sit bones back, stretching out the muscles that we just targeted in the core. And from here, let's dip now that left shoulder toward the center, giving me a little mini twist toward the right, lengthening through the spine. Good. Come back to center and let's switch directions. Again, if at any point your legs are fatigued or you need to take a break, you can always do this seated. Good. Coming back to center. Start to scoop the tailbone under as you slowly rise up to standing. Excellent. Now, we need to bring the feet in. So I want you to take it one step at a time. Maybe walk your feet in until you feel even weight distribution, and then you can step the feet in. Excellent. Let's inhale, send the arms up. Nice energetic reach. Left hand is going to reach for the right wrist. Let's exhale, guide the body to the left. And just like our seated version, we don't want to collapse into that side. I want you to lengthen as you reach laterally. And pushing both feet into the floor, but without locking the knees. Inhale, bring the hands back to center and the torso. Release the bind. We're going to switch. Exhale, guide the body to the right. Again, making sure we're not collapsing into that side. Excellent. Slowly return to center and release the arms down to your sides. Now we're going to make our transition back to seated. So always look behind you first before you sit back down. You can hold on to the armrest, or you can start to build that balance and strength using the leg muscles to guide you softly back down to your seat. So hands to the thighs. Let's roll the shoulders toward the back. Lower the chin toward the chest and roll the shoulders forward. Set the shoulders down and back, and because those muscles activated the upper extremities as well as the lower, we want to make sure that we open up the shoulder girdle. So taking that left arm, cross it in front of the body, let's hook it with the right, relaxing through the shoulders. Deep breaths, taking note of how the stretch feels internally. Good, and release, and we're just going to switch sides. Again, you can hold on anywhere along the length of the arm. Just make sure that the shoulders are down and back and that you're breathing into the stretch. Good, and slowly release. Now, because of those standing poses, we also want to make sure that we stretch out the hips and the hamstrings. So make sure that you have enough clearance. Again, a familiar pose that you've been working on for a few weeks, your figure 4. We practiced it last time on our backs, and we called it the pretzel stretch, but it is equally effective even in a seated position. So you have the option to simply cross the ankle over the shin, so in this case the left ankle over the right shin, and leaning into it. Or you can manually assist in guiding that left ankle over the top of the right thigh. Placing one hand on the knee, one on the ankle, sitting nice and tall and just assessing, again, the degree of tension that you feel, and it should feel like mild tension, never pain or discomfort. You could stay here, or you can add that hip hinge and lean slightly forward, stopping as soon as you find your sweet spot. Again, nice deep breaths, remembering the more relaxed you are, the more those muscles will release on their own. Good. And slowly release, assist in uncrossing, and then choosing which version you'd like on this side, either crossing at the ankle or over the thigh. One hand on the ankle, one on the knee. Again, make sure as you lean forward that your weight is evenly distributed so that the chair doesn't rock forward. Hinging from the hips, stopping as soon as you feel a comfortable stretch. Good, and slowly rise up, and we'll uncross, and our last stretch will include a little twist in the back. So we're going to start by placing the left hand on the outside of that right thigh. You can hold on to your armrest or place your hand on the seat or even underneath, and we're going to sit nice and tall as you gently twist to the right. Again, if you're taking care of the lower lumbar region, be very mindful of the range of motion that's comfortable and appropriate for you today. And if you're pushing against the thigh, push back with equal force. Good. Come back to center, and we're just going to switch sides. Take your time sitting tall. Hand on the outside of the thigh. Again, gently push for leverage, but let the thigh push back. Relaxing through the shoulders, breathing deeply, enjoying the sensations of this final spinal twist. Good. Coming back to center. Now, settling in, feel free if you have a seat back and you'd like to relax, if you have a pillow to place behind you, because we're just going to prepare for our final relaxation phase. Since we're not lying on the floor, we can mimic the same feeling seated upright. So you can place the hands palms down on the lap, or with the palms facing up and stacked, inviting the eyes to close, and take one more deep cleansing breath, returning to your normal natural rate. And just soften the face with a smile, honoring yourselves for taking this time out to discover your strength today. Now let's savor the fruits of all of your hard work as you take rest. Good. Now very slowly, begin to awaken the extremities by wiggling the fingers and the toes, and rotate the wrists and the ankles. And then slowly sweep the arms up, maybe holding on to the hands or the forearms, getting one final torso stretch. Reaching and taking a deep breath here. And then relax the spine, releasing the hands down to the thighs. And I'd like to thank you once again for joining me for today's FAMS Flow practice. Stay tuned for your mindful moment. This week's mindful prompt is strength. And today's practice featured standing and modified poses. And with practice, these stability skills are designed to help support your muscular strength and bone density. So please take a moment and allow the gaze to soften or invite the eyes to close, and we'll take the next 2 minutes to quietly reflect on what strength means for you.